And this is all good. Or like, let me find a man first. Yes, we're in a Christian church. So you might like be checking your phone and doing Instagram or whatever else you do. But I just want to say that for me, this is a story of childbirth, but it's just, I'm going to try not to cry, but I might. It's just so much more than that because it really is my calling. It's the purpose of my life, one of them, the major, biggest one. It's just what the Lord has planned and purposed for me to do. So while it may just seem like a childbirth story, it's a lot more. And so it's about bringing something into life, and I think that we're all supposed to do that. So maybe it's not childbirth for you, but it could be something else that you're called to bring to life. We're all called to create. We're made in the image of God, and He's our creator. So I hope that the Holy Spirit just stirs that up in you as I'm sharing, and He just stirs it up in you what you're supposed to bring to life. And also, just to preface everything, so Chloe's our third baby. So the first and second childbirths were not supernatural. So this is my journey. So whereas I don't know, I think we're all on some sort of journey, right, with our prayers and our faith and our beliefs. So maybe it's not your prayers about childbirth, but it's praying for something else. And and wherever you are in that journey, this is mine, so I'm going to share it, okay? All right, enough of that. And I have to make sure I know what time, so I have to stop at 1:45, 1:50? Okay, all right. Let's start at the beginning. So I always wanted to be a mom. It's kind of, I had really big, this is weird, but I'm just going to tell you. I had really big hips when I was little, and they always poke out, but I would say I have childbearing hips. Like, even when I was like a young girl, and I don't know, my parents were probably like, oh my gosh. I thought, Lydia said that, I'd be like, okay, you need to slow your roll. Like, no. But I just knew, anyway, I just knew. So I had always just wanted that for my life, and I knew it was going to happen, and it was just my desire. Met the man of my dreams, we got married, waited a few years, got pregnant, and okay, there is a lot more detail, but I have to like kind of, for the sake of time, just kind of go through it, so I can maybe tell some of you everything another time, but anyway. So we got pregnant, and it was just like this desire that I wanted to do it I wanted it to be supernatural. I didn't want to have pain medication, and I just wanted it to be just God and me, because it's kind of scary, you know? And when I say this, there's nothing wrong with having pain medication, and I'm not saying that this is the right way, because pain medication is wonderful, like control. But I'm just saying that this was in my heart, and this was my desire. So where it's not for everyone, this is just what I wanted. So I told Mike, and he's like, of course, whatever. I'm not going to mess with a pregnant lady in birth, and whatever you want to do, baby. So we just started praying for that, and we started believing for it, and we were reading books, and I was listening to things on the train, and like certain prayers for every week, and you know, I was really believing. I was telling people, and I was like, I'm gonna do it in a birthing center, and we even got a doula, and a doula is like a birthing coach. I know. They're not a doctor, but they're like in the birthing room with you, and you don't know them, but they're helping deliver your baby. But they're amazing. We got a doula, and we were just believing for it. So I got pregnant with God, was pregnant with God. So then my water broke, and I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, we're having the baby. I'm like, thank you, God. We're just believing, we're declaring things, you know. And so 18 hours, and I'm just going to tell you everything, not details, but like, just not to scare anyone. I don't want to turn people off from having babies, but just to show the contrast of what it was and what it became. And clearly had more children, so it's okay. So it was like 18 hours of labor, and then they started giving me these drugs that make your body have more intense labor. So 18 hours of labor, 6 hours of these intense pain meds, not good ones. So it was just crazy. So after 6 hours of that, I didn't know what to do. I was feeling the pain. Like, it was bad. It hurt so bad. I was like, why? What? You know, like, just God. So, and it like was not what we were praying for, what we were believing for. So finally I just collapsed and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this hurts. I need help. And so got the epidural. So after 35-ish hours, Clyde came out. He was healthy. He was happy. Everything was good with him, but it was like nothing I had prayed for, nothing I had believed for, nothing, like just becoming a mom, it was horrible. And Clyde was healthy, he was good. We went home from the hospital, but then I had complications. I had to go back in the hospital. So I was back in the hospital by myself, hormones raging, pumping, like, what is going on, God? Like, hello, I don't know where I am. This is a twilight zone. I was so devastated. I was like, so at that point, I was just thinking, like, God, what happened? Like, where were you? Where was I? Where was my faith? I'm supposed to have faith for this. And, you know, like, my husband's a pastor, like, if anyone, it's supposed to be me, like, this is, I don't know, right? I mean, you know, these are my thoughts, being honest. So it just seemed more like a nightmare than like my purpose being fulfilled. So I was like, okay, I guess this isn't happening. So we got pregnant again a year later. And so then I was just like, all right, so supernatural birth isn't for me. I'm just going to give up on it. I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying this is my journey. So my prayers were a little different, and we just prayed for a healthy baby and a healthy delivery. And I went in, got the epidural, which epidural stops the pain. Does everyone know this stuff? Yeah. Epidural stops the pain. So got it as fast as I could, and my labor was a little better, but it was still bad, and there were still horrible, I almost needed a blood transfusion, like, it was, like, not good. And so I was, you know, it was a lot. But there was still a part of me that was still hoping for it, you know? So we got pregnant with our third, Chloe. And so we kept having babies. It wasn't that bad. And you really forget. Oh, thank God. So we got pregnant with Chloe, and there was just something in my heart that was different. And so I knew it was different, and I kind of just talked to God about it, and just was like, okay, I see this. I'm not sure, you know? And so I didn't even talk to Mike about it, but I just knew it was in there. And so we went out to dinner or lunch with some of our friends, and a couple, and we hadn't seen them in a long time. Probably I was pregnant with Clive when the last time we saw them, and so she had a baby. We had 2 babies, and so we get to lunch, and we're just chatting about everything. And once you like have a baby and you go through childbirth, you just like talk about it like it's nothing. You'll be at the playground and you just talk to moms about it. So we just said, hi, you know, I'm like, how's your birth? So she starts telling me, and she had this amazing supernatural birth where she went, and this is just like a very quick summarized version, where she went into basically she had 2 visions, and when she was in these visions with God, she didn't feel any pain. And so when she came out of them, she felt the pain. But then when she went back into them, she didn't. So basically she went through without any pain medication and had her beautiful baby boy. So she's telling me this, and I just immediately start crying. And I was like, I didn't want to be crazy and just start like bawling, weeping like out of control, because she didn't know what was going on in my heart, you know? And so I was just controlling, and listening to her, and just like, that was so beautiful, you know? And then she goes to me, so how are your births? And I just immediately just like break down. And it was just like everything on my heart was just breaking, and the hardness I had put up, and the everything, lots of stuff. For the sake of time, I'm not going to get into it. But it just broke me, and I was just a mess, a sobbing mess. And I see Mike like out of the corner of his eye looking at me like, oh gosh, not again. She was crying in public, like, and I was like, oh. So I just started talking to my friend about it, and she's like, I believe that you can have this. And I'm like, me too. I'm like, I know. And so we just talked about it more, and I was just like, I'm believing for it. I gave up before, but I want it. And I know God can do it. So that started this new thing. And isn't it amazing how, just her sharing her testimony with me just completely like wrecked me and altered the course of my life, right?
Wow.
And there's a verse in Revelation, it's not one of the ones here, but it says that they overcame him, the enemy, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Yeah. And so if she shared that with me, and that's why I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to tell people. So if it like helps anyone, like thank God, like that, you know, but that's what the word says, and that's what I'm believing it's going to do for even one person. So this started the journey of Chloe. Am I okay on time? I don't know.
Yes.
It was different this time. It was, I don't know, we just started, and Patricia was talking last night about just like the power of your words, and we were just speaking over my body, like saying that it would do this, and that it would do what it needed to do, and that it would do what it needed to do, anyway. And that this baby would come out, and that it would be supernatural. So we were just believing that, praying over me, and it was different. And we didn't tell anyone, it was just kind of Mike and me, which was also different. And so I could get into a lot of things, but I haven't heard, I think. It was just different. So my due date comes, and I'm still pregnant. I'm like, okay, I thought I would have the baby because my other kids were early. So it was 9 days later, after my due date, and they're like, we need to induce you. This baby needs to come out, and Easter's coming, and our doctors are going on vacation, so I'm like, okay. So, all right, but I'm like, God, we're not believing it for it to happen this way. We're not believing that it will start because they start pumping me with, drugs or whatever. So we're like, God, please. So they scheduled me for the next morning, and that night, and they were like, go do what you can do to get this baby out. And so one of the things they say is eat greasy food. So what does a New Yorker do? I go get some artichoke pizza. Anyone love artichoke pizza? Their spinach artichoke is the greasiest thing ever. It's so greasy. So Mike brings them home. We put on a rom-com, and after the kids go to bed. And so that's what happened. So I started feeling contractions, but I was just feeling pressure. And so I was like, okay, is this it? I don't know. This is my third baby. I should probably know, but I don't know. It wasn't pain. It was pressure. So I was like, okay, all right. So I'm like doing laundry and getting the kids' bags together to bring them to a friend's house. And all things I should have done before. But then I was like, okay, they're like pretty close together. I don't know, maybe I should call my doctor. I'm not sure, because I wasn't feeling pain. So I was like, okay, these are pretty close together. I think we should, and Mike's like, I think we should go. Let's just go check, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't want them to have me go home after we drop off the kids. I mean, it's like midnight, okay? So I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, let's just go. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So we drop the kids off, we go to the hospital. I'm feeling contractions, but it's just pressure. So, when you get to the hospital, you have to go into this area called triage where they just check you and see, okay, are you really having this baby or do you need to go home? Before they check you into the hospital and do that. So we go to triage. So I'm just, feeling this pressure. And so I'm like breathing through it. I never did breathing courses, but I just like knew how to breathe. I don't know. Okay. So we get there. So she checks me. And so I'll just explain the process. Before you go into labor, you're at a 0. And to get to pushing, you need to be at a 10. So I was like, okay. So she's like checking me, doing the evaluation. And she's like, okay, so you're having this baby. She's like, you're at an 8. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I'm really surprised too. You're really calm. I'm like, I know, I can't believe this, but I can believe this, but I can't believe it. But it's like, oh my gosh, because it was like, at that moment, it was like, it was happening. It was happening. Everything we were praying for, everything we were believing for, and I was like, oh my gosh, I probably said oh my gosh like a million times the whole time. They probably thought I was crazy. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. And so they're like, okay, yeah, you're gonna have this baby. Okay, we better get your doctor, because I still haven't talked to my doctor. So he comes in finally. Oh my gosh, he's like 70-year-old man. He's so old. He's delivered so many babies. He's so cute. Anyway, he's like, so you can get an epidural pain meds if you want, because you can stay still. And so he's like, just let me know. And I'm like, okay. I mean, and this was kind of like where the rubber meets the road, right? I was like, I could get it, so I can stay still. But this is where I have to just trust and have faith, and this is everything we've been praying for and believing for and knowing God can do. And here's where I take that step. So I look at Mike, he's like, He always helps me because I'm like, I don't know, I'm a mess. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get it. So they bring us into a room, so they hook me up to everything, and they put me in the bed, and you can't really move. They say you can, but you can't. So it's not really like the prime way to labor, because it's gravity, and anyway, so I'm just sitting in the bed. But honestly, you guys, this whole time, I'm just feeling pressure. I'm just pressure. And yes, there are contractions, I know they're happening. So we put on some worship music, we're just worshiping, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, thanking God for every contraction I'm having, thanking Him that my body's doing everything it needs to do, thanking Him that this is what I was created for, and just like visioning my body doing what it needs to do and the baby coming out. So, I'm sorry, this is taking a long time. So we get to the room, and Mike puts on worship music, a little Chris McClarney, anyone know? Yes! Oh, I can't even listen to it now. Okay, so that's playing, and the doctor, or the nurse, oh my gosh, she's the most amazing nurse. She like will look at me and just stare at me, and stare at the monitor, stare at the monitor, and I'm like, okay, is everything okay? Finally, I asked her, I'm like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I just can't believe this is happening. She's like, I can't believe you're having these contractions, which are like going skyrocketing. She's like, and you're just sitting here so peaceful. And I'm like, and she delivered babies, like a lot of them. I'm like, I know, me too. I had no idea. Like, I've had labors and deliveries. Like, I know. It's only God, And I'm just like thanking Jesus the whole time. She hears me. She hears our worship music. She probably thinks I was a crazy Christian. I am. So then finally they're like, okay, you are going to start pushing. And I'm like, are you being serious? Like, oh my gosh, okay. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, oh my gosh. This is really what happened. I'm sorry. So I'm like, okay, all right. and I had complications pushing before, so I was like a little nervous, but I was like, all right, God, you've been here, you're gonna bring me through this. So I started pushing. You guys, I was trying so hard to push, and the baby wasn't coming out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're pushing, and finally they get another nurse to come in. She stands on a chair, and she starts pushing my stomach from the top. What? Oh my gosh, dear Jesus. So but I'm not feeling pain. Like it is only God, you guys. Like the only supernatural. There is absolutely no reason. Like even the nurses were like, what? You know, like okay. So pushing. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And finally, I'm like so exhausted. I'm like, I can't push anymore. And I'm like, okay, it's my last time. I'm like, get this baby out of me. And I just like kind of yell it. I know. And finally, you guys, this baby comes out. And we did not know if it was a boy or a girl. We didn't know because it was a surprise. And Mike looks at me and he's like, it's a baby girl. The nurse is like, she's like, your baby's chubby. Yeah. I'm like, huge. Everyone thinks my babies are chubby.
They are.
They are. But listen, so, oh my gosh. Okay, so Clive was 7 pounds, 14 ounces. So firstborn, 7 pounds, 14 ounces. Lydia, secondborn, she was 8 pounds, 6 ounces. So this nurse looks over at me and she says something in kilograms, and I'm like, okay, lady. I'm so tired, and even if I wasn't, I do not know how to convert that. I'm sorry, I don't. Like grams or pounds? What? And so she's like, 10 pounds, 6 ounces.
Oh, mackerel.
What?
Oh, no.
Everything about this whole birth was supernatural, you guys. Bringing this miracle to life. It's so crazy. Like, right before they were gonna induce me and do it, I go into labor. The biggest baby, like, ever. Oh my gosh. And I had absolutely no complications after. None. It just, like, still blows my mind. Like, he was with me through the first and the second delivery. His goodness was there. He knew my heart. He knew my prayers. He heard me. He knew the desires of my heart. And even when I gave up, he didn't give up on me. Yeah. And that's how he is. He's so amazing. He's so faithful. He's so good, you guys. And so it was just, in Ephesians 3:20, it's like kind of my life verse. It just says, and to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think.
Amen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. And I thought I was just going to have to manage the pain, but I didn't even have any. Wow. Like, it was just pressure. And so, to end it, I don't know what God's calling you to bring to life. I don't know what he's calling you to birth. And maybe it's a baby, and I'll pray for you. But maybe it's something else, and I just want to encourage you, like wherever you are, whether it's you're just realizing it and you're starting to pray for it, or you've been praying for a while and it hasn't happened the way that you thought it would, I just want to say that he'll do it. Yeah. He's faithful. He wants to do this for you. He is a supernatural God, and he wants you to live supernaturally. Yes. And it was the most amazing thing for me to experience that in my life, and I just want to share that with you, and I want every one of you to experience that, maybe not through childbirth, but through what he's called you to do and the plans and the purposes for your life, because he'll bring them to fulfillment supernaturally. Amen. I love you guys.